the 701 in with us. It's in the Crosshairs. Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Excellent.
How you doing, Jay?
Doing great. Had a chance to head up to Minot last night, took in some fair food, and got a couple ice-cold beverages to enjoy. Mr. Eric Church was a good show. I enjoyed that. Good times. That state fair is always a good time. Listen, guys, it's going to be hot the next few days, so hopefully you paid your electricity bill.
Oh, yeah.
got the AC.
Better.
But I got to throw something now. Eric
Yeah.
Church is an anti-gun commie, period. So Jamie knows what I'm talking about.
He is very anti-gun. Very anti-gun.
Anti-gun. But so the music, though, I tell you what, he was one of the guys that I really liked as far as country artists. So whatever his beliefs might be, I don't judge him on his music. Nonetheless,
I do, because I'm not going to support him in any way, so he gets any money. So hopefully he goes broke.
Okay. Well, he probably won't go broke, but nonetheless, that's okay.
Wishful thinking,
Jelly Roll, though, from what I've seen, I did not go. I did send a couple tickets along with some friends of mine. That a great show, packed to the house. I mean, 18,000 tickets sold. So fantastic show from what I heard there as well. So yeah, all right. Well, let's get to some of the topics we've got here this afternoon, guys. Let's see. U.S. Senator Chris Murphy and his latest legislative move is to put a target on every service member as someone who cannot be entrusted to exercise their Second Amendment rights. Which, I mean, when you look at that, you think it's hyperbole, right? But it's really not, Clay.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to throw this to Jamie quick, and then I'll jump in here in a little bit.
Yeah, so Murphy he's putting in an amendment he did put it in the amendment, National Defense Authority Act, which it's a must-pass bill for military, but he's got some stipulations in there for military members' Second Amendment rights. Starts off, requires the Secretary of Defense to set minimum training standards for anyone required to carry a firearm on duty. That would include marksmanship standards as well as suicide awareness of safe storage. Those are already requirements in the branch if you're in the military, but after that is where it gets pretty unconstitutional. His first proposal would be to require training before anyone in the Department of Defense purchases a firearm for private ownership. He would also require anyone possessing a firearm on a military installation to register that firearm with the base commander, which I'm pretty sure that's required already from guys that I know that are in. But the other requirement he added to that, Jay, is they're supposed to be, he wants them locked up as well when they're on the base. And that goes directly against the Heller decision, Heller versus D.C. back here in around 2010, I think it was, Clay, or somewhere around there, right?
Yeah, right in there. I remember, but yeah, it was right in that area.
Yeah, so, he's fine with these guys, going out and going to war and dying and getting shot. But, boy, if you want your own private firearm living on the base, that thing needs to be registered and locked up so you can't use it. And that's just the one of them there, Jay. He actually has another one too. He's, other than the storage thing here, he's got it. He wants a federal 7-day waiting period for these guys if they purchase a firearm, and a 4-day waiting period to purchase ammunition if you're on the base. Which is ridiculous, and I mean, trust me, he wants that for everybody. He just wants to get it in on the installations right off the bat here. So then, because if it works on the base, you know what he's going to say after that? Hey, man, if our military guys got to do it, there's no reason you civilians shouldn't have to do the same thing.
Yeah,
Sure.
well, and think about this. Anything that's sold within a military base, whether it's firearms, ammunition, anything, still follows the same federal and state rules. And when I look at this and see what this guy's doing, of course, Murphy's no stranger to anti-Second Amendment legislation. He's a huge anti-Second Amendment guy out there, and trying to sneak it into the Defense Act, which is a pretty crucial piece of legislation. That's what these guys always do. But that aside, so what they're saying is, and they've already got problems in the military hitting recruitment numbers because of what's going on with the wokeness and all the junk that's being put forth in the military that has nothing to do with defending our country. Yet again, they want to try and say, you know what, if you sign on the dotted line, you're going to sign your rights away to serve in our military that, ironically, guess what, is protecting our freedom and our rights. So it makes zero sense to me, but this is how to get their foot in the door. They figure they got these guys, they've signed the dotted line, and now there's nothing they can do about it. So they're going to enforce this onto them because they can, especially through Congress when they pass a law, and basically make that the blueprint for the rest of the nation. Like Jamie said, they want this for everybody.
So would this be just for the bases in his home state, or is this a nationwide thing for all bases?
No, he wants it nationwide here.
Nationwide.
That's why he wants it on federal. Yeah, not just, like I said, it's up to the military commanders whether they actually want you to register your firearms at that base or not.
Right.
And I remember I think when Trump was in there, a bunch of these guys, these commanders, quit doing that. But I don't know if they started doing it again. But yeah, it's for all of them. And he does have one more, Jay, as if those two aren't enough to make you feel like like your government really doesn't like you, but you're fighting for it. He prohibits the possession of privately owned firearms that are not related to the performance of official duties on property of the departments by anyone who does not live on property of the department. So, I mean, it's some crazy wording there, right, Jay?
Yeah, no doubt. So you're saying that if you live off base, you can't have a firearm? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
that's exactly what it says.
Unless it's related to your duties, but how many military guys have an M4 off base? They probably not very many. And your handguns, if that wasn't related to what you were doing, I'm sure if it wasn't, I just don't. I mean, to keep you from owning guns, Clay, it's ridiculous.
Absolutely, and part of this legislation also, I mean, it has to do with, I don't know if anybody realizes that a lot of the air bases and the land around it, they own literally thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of acres around some of these bases, or they're kind of a retired base. But my one example that can come right to the top of my head is White Sands Air Force Base. Huge Air Force base with tens of thousands of acres surrounding it, and plus that they own. They literally have hunting there. In fact, you can apply as a private civilian right now, or used to be able to go and hunt. Guess what? Big game African animals at a quite a reduction, having to basically verse that towards getting your safari and your airline tickets and actually going over to Africa. You can do it right there, and it generates a lot of money for the Air Force. And you know what? That'll all go away. You won't be able to hunt on any of these lands anymore.
Well, I know Minnesota has one. My brother-in-law, when he started out being a lineman, lived over there, and there's a huge military base there. And I mean, it's known if you live there and hunted that people go there to deer hunt, mostly with bows, but they can do rifle in there too. But yeah, so like Clay's saying right there, that'd be gone in Minnesota too. And I guess a ton of people hunt in there. So.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah.
I think it's an artillery range or something, but.
I mean, a lot of hunters, I know some folks in the Minot Air Force Base when I spent time living up in Minot that there was a lot of hunters that move, from state to state. Obviously they do. And that obviously would affect them, and how would they hunt? How would they go out and do any hunting whatsoever?
That's not needed anymore, Jay. Come on. That's what they tell you. Go to the store and buy yourself
that's incredible.
Yeah,
that's
great. It's amazing how some people think, man. That seems way out there to me.
Well, and that's just it. Like me and Jamie, we follow this stuff. We live this stuff. And we find this like in the National Defense Act that they're trying to pass for appropriation. But if you're not going in there and reading these bills and checking them out, you probably wouldn't have even heard about it anywhere else but right here. So KFR Plus is on the cutting edge, Jay.
That's right. They are. That's right, gentlemen.
And
hey, speaking of...
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jay.
Oh, I was just going to change to that hunting, but go ahead. Finish your thought there, Jamie, before we move on.
I almost kind of lost my train of thought there, what the heck I was going to say. But go ahead, Jay. Let's go to the next one if it comes to me quick.
I was going to kind of transition to, you brought up the House Appropriations Committee. Now, they included language to protect traditional hunting ammo, so that is a good thing, yeah?
Yeah, that's awesome. Clay, you want to start out with this one, bud?
No, absolutely. And this isn't the first time that traditional ammo, which what they mean, guys, by that is lead ammo. When you hear that term, traditional hunting ammo, that's your lead ammunition bullets for traditional firearms. And yeah, basically what they're trying to do is the committee, because of all the attacks on that kind of stuff. And again, here we're talking federally owned land, public land that isn't so public, I keep telling people. They want to get rid of this, and this all has to do with EPA EPA's tried it through regulatory stuff. It didn't work. They tried it through Department of Interior. This isn't new. This has been going on for 10 plus years. And they decided, you know what, we're going to go through the Appropriations Committee. They have language in there to actually protect the traditional ammo, that being lead, because there's no scientific value or study that proves that it hurts anything. I know a few years ago there was a professor out of Grand Forks, out of all places, that was trying to say that the lead ammo was getting in the meat and it was contaminated. They found out that that wasn't even really a true story, how that all unfolded. And it's very minimal now, just from personal experience when I hunt. I'm sure Jamie has as well. I can find the bullets in there. Usually they're not as fragmented depending on what you're using as you think. And I've never, ever ingested any lead from the deer meat that I've actually, consumed from hunting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm glad to see it there, including in this. The National Shooting Sports Foundation, they are very, very excited about this being in the appropriations bill, and they're supporting it 100%. It's going to block the Biden administration from limiting access to hunting on public lands. Again, guys, these are your taxpayer lands. You own them, not the government. By forcing hunters to purchase things like more expensive, less available alternative ammunition. And that would be, say, a good example, 12-gauge shotgun shells. You now have to get the non-toxic, the bismuth or steel, and they are way more expensive. So once again, because of regulatory problems, and it's all about banning ammo and access and usefulness, they're going to make it more expensive for the average guy to hunt. That's basically what this comes down to.
I mean, my family's farm and ranch has been there since the early 50s, and we've been shooting shotgun shells, lead at pheasants there ever since. And before I was born, in '71, they haven't. And I'll tell you what, Clay, like pheasants, I guarantee I swallowed some lead.
BBs are different. Yeah, BBs are different.
Yeah, and deer too. I mean, if you're cutting your deer meat up, you don't just, hey, here's where I shot him, and if the bullet does frame it, you don't just throw that in the grinder with your sausage and eat it.
Yeah.
Some people might, but you cut that out of there. And I'm pretty sure it was on here. We were talking about that before, that study, the guy with the hawk hunter and the study from Iowa. And you'd have to eat, even people who ate deer sausage and deer meat almost on a daily basis. Their blood lead levels were barely elevated over somebody who didn't. It was not even close to being a dangerous level. But they keep pushing this to harass you, to buy the more expensive ammunition, right? Right, Jay, remember I was comparing the price of the bullets I did for my 223. It's almost twice as much, and you're getting half the product.
So a critical thinker in me brings this up, and it could be a devil advocate. Would the ammo makers have anything to do with this? Could they be just side-dooring and saying, hey, you guys should really push this no lead thing so we can make bullets that are a little more expensive? Is there a possibility that could happen, or possibly happening?
I doubt it, because most of those guys are part of the NSFF or NSSF, the Shooting Sports Foundation. So I doubt they're going to continue that. I mean, ammo sales, think about it right now, they can't keep up as it is. And we're seeing ammo shortages. I don't think that anybody in the ammunition, I can't say for sure, but I can't imagine one single manufacturer that would be supporting the pushing of that kind of ammunition just, for profits, is what that would come down to. But you never know.
Yeah, you never know, but I've never seen any of them going, hey, yeah, this is a great idea. I've never seen any of them come out and say that. And they all haven't ever came out against it because, federal ammunition, Clay, they got a contract with the federal government too, I do believe. So they're probably, they don't want to say nothing either way, but I mean, everything they ever put out is totally pro Second Amendment. They don't try and push, like I said, all copper ammo. I've never seen them pushed, and it costs way more. People are going to shoot less, so are they going to make more? Yeah, but there's not going to be somebody going to the range and shooting 300-400 rounds of all copper.
So I'll throw one thing out here, and this was from 2 years ago because I wasn't able to get any thing newer. But these were some bids that were put out to the gun manufacturers, and within them specs, guys, guess what they're asking for? They're asking for jacketed full metal jackets. That's what they're asking for, lead core. So the U.S. military was not asking for this at that time. They wanted something that was going to and wasn't as expensive. Can you imagine if we had to start doing that in our military? So they're exempting themselves evidently. Now I can't tell you about 2022 and 2023 appropriation requests and specs, but that was from 2021. I imagine it hasn't changed though.
Well, not only that, Clay, then they'd start barking about how expensive it is to shoot it, and then they either want more money or they'd have them cut back on their training and they'd be less proficient with their firearms, which would make no sense. And I remember, Clay, tell me if I'm wrong, didn't Maryland, they tried it, I think, at a military range with all copper, and they shot there, and it actually, because copper gets toxic when there's a ton of it too, and it started polluting a nearby dam or a stream or something, and they had to quit shooting it there.
Yes,
so,
they did.
I mean,
it was actually worse than lead.
Yeah, and that was like 12, 15 years ago. I remember it was around 2010 or so. But yeah, that didn't work out so well for us. They kind of not quiet about that.
No.
Yeah, proverbially
and the
shot themselves in the foot, didn't they, in that one?
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Yeah, so the guy who brought that up, anyways, Republican, was Mike Simpson out of Iowa in the House, and in the Senate, there's kind of some companion bills, Hunters and Anglers Act, Senate Bill 1185. That's by Steve Daines of Montana. And I guess there's another one actually in the House, even on top of that, from Rob Whitman. He's a Republican from Virginia. So there's it's nice to see people getting these bills in there, whether they make it or not, beyond me, but I sure hope they do.
The idea behind introducing those into both the Senate and the House, it's to basically make it permanent. It won't be just a piece that's put into another bill that's temporary. That would make it permanent. Rob Whitman in Virginia has always been a champion of hunters and firearms. So I'm really glad to see that those two bills were introduced. If you want to look them up, it's Senate Bill 1185. On the House side, it's HR 615. Go check them out. And in North and South Dakota, I don't think we have an issue with it, but make sure you encourage Dusty Johnson out of South Dakota and Kelly Armstrong in North Dakota to support that House bill, and of course our senators, Kevin Kramer and John Hoeven in North Dakota.
Well, remember too, Clay, when they banned, I think California banned lead ammo, was like 2018, I think, of all, because they all said it was killing the condors. Yeah. Well, and then like 2020 and 2021, the condor population actually dipped down again before it came back up in 22. So it was banned for 2-3 years, and the condors are still dying off. So I mean, common sense will tell you to do that, but a lot of people just don't want to see that, and oh, come on, just get rid of it. If it helps, what do you care? Well, it doesn't help, so I do care, and it costs me a lot of money.
It does.
Exactly.
No doubt.
By the way, we don't want to forget that if ammunition sales drop because of that, because they will, you're going to see less shooters, less hunters, less everything, Second Amendment advocates, and less money rolling in from Pittman Robinson to fund the programs in each state. Guys, think about this. Since 1937, we've had $16 billion raised through the Pittman Robinson tax, which is about 10 to 11% on all fishing and hunting. So it includes the angling sports industry as well. I think over $1 billion just last year. So can you imagine if that evaporated or it was even cut in half? You're going to see a big decline across the board when it comes to wildlife conservation.
Well, to make it sound even better, Clay, adjusted for inflation is $25 billion.
25 million, that's right.
Billion.
Just on a side note, yesterday as I was heading up to Minot, there about 3 o'clock or so, I obviously on 83, I drove by the skeet club there. That place was packed. They were parking in the ditches up there. Yeah. So that club was doing some brisk business. The one up in
Minot is fantastic. When I was working for the NRA, we did a lot of stuff at that club. They have probably one of the most premier ranges in that Minot area for trap and skeet shooting, and fantastic. We funded a lot of that. Jamie can attest through the NRA Foundation with Friends of NRA events, and they did a fantastic job and are very active. So yeah, if you're ever up there, stop in, Jay. It's a lot of fun, and they'll welcome you with open arms, even if you don't know a lot. And they got some of the best instructors there.
I'd like to do that. I'd like to do it. Let's move on. We're running out of time here. Let's move to, this is pretty interesting. 20 attorney generals around the country, led by Montana's Attorney General Austin Knudsen, now have joined an amicus brief now supporting gun right groups appealing a ruling on that gun control laws. And we're back in Delaware once again.
Oh, yeah. Joe Biden's stomping grounds there.
Yep.
The ban in Delaware is House Bill 450. Bans 44 different kinds of semi-automatic rifles, including the dreaded AR-15, and 19 semi-automatic pistols, and of course any magazine that goes over 17 rounds is what they're trying to ban here. And good to see Drew Wrigley, AG Drew Wrigley's on it. I don't remember South Dakota's Attorney General. I know he's a guy. I think he had some legal problems going on if he got it straightened out, but he's on board with it. And, a couple other ones from our area, Wyoming. Utah's not real close, but, I don't see, what's his name over there in Minnesota?
No, Minnesota seems to be void.
Walls.
Yeah, but I thank Drew Wrigley for doing that. That's great.
Yeah, he's an owner. I think on Friday he did announce that Drew does have an AR, doesn't he?
Yeah, he is. I've actually personally talked to him, Jay. He's told me that he does, and yeah, he's definitely not. Drew's definitely not against banning those. I don't know. He said on the previous press conference that he was open to changing some laws, and I don't remember, Clay, what I tell you on the phone that I thought it was.
Well, like I told you, I think he's more open red flag law. I can see that just in my conversations with him when he was actually running. Yeah, I didn't like his answers he gave me at our District 31 GOP meeting, but I can tell you right now that he can be swayed, I think. It is an elected office, so if he came out and actually supported a red flag, just as Governor Burgum did, guys, let's not forget this guy running for president. Burgum was a big red flag supporter until it didn't poll well and he heard from everybody. Don't trust him, and I think Drew would be swayed one way or the other, but Drew's a pretty solid guy and will at least sit down and have a conversation with you. So I think it's an issue, but the legislature shut it down on both sides. So.
Yeah, I thought Drew maybe was talking about, and he supported, like, say, for federal penalty, gun crimes and that. But I mean, it got tabled. But Jay, really, if you do that, hey, man, don't do a gun crime with your semi-automatic rifle. Do you think that matters to somebody who's going out murdering cops and plans on going to a street triple? Like,
no,
that's not going to do anything.
Well, a guy in that mindset, he either probably decided he's probably going to be taken out and he'll no longer be here, or he don't care. I mean, if you have a 10-year versus a 20-year sentence, they don't care.
Yeah,
to me, it's
I was going to shoot up the whole street fair thing, but 20 years in federal prison, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's political posturing when they say stuff like that because they want to feel good.
And I'm speculating. I'm not saying that's what he thinks, or I'm just saying that's what I've seen him say. So
yeah,
I like Drew Wrigley and hope he doesn't, because I know our old buddy down there in Fargo, Joe Heitkamp, he was barking at him from the audience there about, why do you keep calling it rapid fire instead of an assault weapon? Because it's not really an assault weapon.
It's not an assault weapon by definition.
Right. Yeah.
And we'll add one thing about these cases, guys. You got to remember, this has been in courts before, as far as what they're talking about with Delaware, with other states being challenged. But what I really love is it says, coalition asserts that the Delaware law contradicts the historical tradition of regulating dangerous and unusual weapons rather than prohibiting common firearms and accessories outright. Guys, again, and we've said that on this show before, it's all going back to Bruin. I mean, you got DC versus Heller, but that Bruin case, when it took place in New York, has just had profound implications. And right now, guys, this is taking place in the third district, the appellate court of feds. But if this works its way up, guys, I guarantee you the Supreme Court's going to make the same decision that they've been making on everything else. They already threw one back and told the lower court to go and find more consistent actions that coincide with Bruin. So, you know what? Let's see how this works out. Just it's going to be a lot of money spent on lawyers unnecessarily.
Yeah, and you're talking about the other one that the 25 Attorney General signed on to.
Correct. Yeah, that was the other.
And then real quick, I like to hear what Attorney General Knudsen said. It extends to all bearable arms, including arms carried for offensive or defensive action in case of conflict. Right. It doesn't say the right to keep and bear arms just for your self-defense. It doesn't say that. It's keep and bear for everything. And some people get upset about that. That's an offensive weapon. Yeah. Well, if you got to go on offense. Hey, what do I want? Do I want a double-barrel shotgun, or do I want a semi-automatic rifle, or any kind of bolt-action rifle that takes a big mag? I want the bolt-action. I want the big mag.
I want them all. I mean,
it's just not going to matter.
Well, a bit of history, gentlemen. Something I did not know. JD, you brought to our attention the right to arms in American colonies now predated even our own Bill of Rights, which is quite interesting. I did not know that. You might want to tell the viewers a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the Royal Charter of King James I in 1606 granted to members of the Virginia Charter perpetual rights to being sufficient shipping and furniture of armor, weapons, ordnance, powder, victual. I'm not sure what victual is, to be honest with you guys. So I'm not. And other things necessary for their use in defense. And the charter of the New England colonies were granted the same rights. 2 charters covered all of what would become the original 13 colonies, except for the middle region, which contained New York, Pennsylvania, Vermont, and New Jersey. So, hey, that was 170
plus years ago, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they were already guaranteeing. You're right. I mean, one of the colonies, though, right, Clay, the king got mad there, and he usurped them, which happens to some of these guys, right? They get a little power hungry and try to...
He did, yeah. That was 1660 or 1622. Basically, that's exactly what happened. He got a little upset, and he took it away, but then they, of course, went back and said, nope, we're not going to let you get away with that. And I'm putting this in layman's terms. The state said, no, we're going to put up with it, and went back after their rights. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Even
I mean,
back then,
that
they're
was
trying to take away rights.
Yeah. The English Bill of Rights was enacted by Parliament in 1689, now just over 100 years before our Bill of Rights. And, you know, it guaranteed English to have guns, but guess what? The English, they can
I want to point out one interesting thing. Do you realize that our rights as colonists were stronger than those actually in England when they put these proclamations forward?
Yeah.
Especially the private property. There's a private property rights thing in here. I don't know if you caught that deal, where we had the right to hunt over here in the colonies. That they basically made sure that they
that's what he got chapped about.
Yeah, exactly. But in England, well, all land was considered owned by the king or the state.
Right.
He didn't want his game taken without strict regulation. Seems like we full circled that one back around.
Yeah, that's unreal, right?
Unreal.
That's amazing how things change, but yet they stay the same after all these years.
They always come back, Jay, no matter what, don't they?
Absolutely.
If you don't remember history, what's the old thing? You're doomed to repeat it.
Doomed to repeat it.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, once again, another enlightening half hour. We've just about burned through our time, but we've got time to talk about what you got coming up on Wednesday night.
Go for it, Clay. I'm not here Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday night, guys. We'll be discussing the poll that comes on at 6 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time, 7 o'clock Central Time. Gunsandthe701.com, YouTube, Facebook. Does upload to Rumble. Our Rumble live thing is not working. Found out some glitches in that. But it does upload automatically after the show. And, of course, on iHeart, you can catch it. We got some interesting topics coming up. Guest host Marty Beard. He'll be joining me.
Yes, sir.
We did a trial run yesterday. Looks like that's going to work fine. So, and there is a possibility we may have Eric Newman from Grizz's Taxidermy on. Kind of depends on the layout of the show on Wednesday night. But, yeah, looking forward to it. And
6 Mountain, 7 Central.
If we're lucky, JD might join us. We'll see.
I told Clay I might get in there, Jay, but it's going to be 95 where I'm at. I'm going to be on a pontoon, and it looks like low wind, so I might be deep into the Coors Light. So I don't know.
Yeah,
well, I'll make it entertaining. I'll just make it more entertaining.
Yeah, hey, and every Friday morning, Jay, at 8:40 a.m. Central Time, Clay and I are on with Mitchell in the morning on KFYR 5:50 a.m. On there for about 15-20 minutes. So don't miss that either. And that goes right up to iHeart. Todd loads it up, and you can watch the replays on our website or Facebook and YouTube.
Fantastic. Gentlemen, once again, thank you so much, and we're looking forward to getting together for that KFYR shoot-off. We'll get together. We'll get that sometime this fall.
Sometime in September, maybe in August. Let's get it done.
Yeah. I think so.
Right,
it's
man.
a good time.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
And as always, guys, what do I say? Keep your powder dry.
Love it. All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much. JD and Clay, catch them gunsandthe701.com Wednesday night, and, of course, Friday morning with Mitchell in the morning. And, Clay, if you could just send me your address, I'll get you a copy of Eric Church's latest CD. I'll send it out to you.
You know, if we could get a hard copy of that, I believe we could put that on the rock range and have some fun with it.